Hopefully my connection will be good because it's really been choppy lately. And yeah, we're live. How is everyone doing on this Friday? I hope you're having a great day thus far. Excuse me, I'm still battling with this cold. I am actually going to the doctor today. But I wanted to come on and do this live and kind of, as I'm going throughout my day, trying to stay focused because this cold has had my head in the clouds. It's like certain little things that I, need to remember. It's like it's escaping me. It's like, what are you doing? And I'm just like stuck. Like, okay, it's time to get unstuck because this doesn't make any type of sense. So anyway, I'm not going to be with you long. I wanted to just talk about, what relationships are supposed to teach us. And we really don't understand that. I would basically say everything is a learning experience. And even though we may try to, go into a relationship thinking like we have things figured out, but as you are growing, as we are evolving, there's always lessons to learn. And always speaking from my perspective, because that's the only perspective I can speak from, is that, sometimes we get into relationships, one, because we're lonely, two, because, we want to feel love, right? We want to feel loved. We want to feel valuable. We want to feel, appreciated. We want to feel admired, adored. We want to, feel like somebody is attracted to us. All those feelings that we want to feel when we are seeking to be in a relationship. And for this live, I'm speaking it from the standpoint of a romantic relationship, right? But the thing about it, as we are on this journey of finding love, of craving and desiring to have someone in our lives that, adds, and let me say that adds to our already happiness. Because if we're looking for someone to make us happy, then we are already, at a deficit, because no one is there to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy. And if you are looking for someone to make you happy, then you're already going into a relationship where you are sabotaging yourself and even putting undue pressure on the other person to make you happy. So you may have them jumping through hoops to please you because you feel as though that's what they're there to do. They're there to meet your needs. They're there to serve you, to make you happy. And if they're not making you happy, then this is why sometimes we see divorce. We see, people change partners and changing up all the time because well, you're supposed to make me happy. No, I'm not supposed to make you happy. I'm here to add to what already exists in your life. And if I get taken away from your life, you should still be able to thrive, right? You should still be able to be in a space where you are whole within yourself. And I think that's what sometimes we don't realize. And what happens is relationships teach us this. And sometimes we stay in relationships too long that don't serve us because, one, we don't want to be alone. Two, we become used to it and accustomed to it. So it's like, well, I know this. This is familiar. So it's better than me starting over and not knowing the next person. But even that thought process is insanity because, life and evolving is always interchanging, going into new relationships, forming new friendships, whatever that may look like. So why would we limit ourselves to just feel as though because I'm in a relationship now, it's not serving me, but because I know it, because I'm comfortable here, I'm not going to try to do better because it takes too much effort for me to get into something new or to align myself with something that is going to serve me in a better way, right? And I think that when we don't look at it from that standpoint, again, we stay in places too long. And then we feel like, oh, I've wasted my life. I've wasted my time. I've wasted my energy. I've wasted my finances, hoping things would get better. And sometimes people even at the place where they're not even hoping for it to get better anymore. They just accept it. This is their lot in life. This is what, the cards have been given to me. And I just got to suck it up. And at one point, that was my thought process. Like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. I just got to make the best of it. And even me not being happy in that place, I would try to find other things that would make me happy outside of what I was dealing with, but only to come back to, this is where my home is. This is where my place of peace is. So if this is the place where I'm living and I'm supposed to thrive, and this is the place that I'm coming to that's supposed to be a stable place, but it's not stable because the person that I'm with, we're not on the same page. So at some point, there needs to be a conversation. And the first conversation, sometimes, we want to go to the other person and we want to let them know what they're doing wrong and what they're not doing and how they're not meeting our needs. But really, the first person we need to talk to is ourselves. The first person we need to talk to and have that conversation with is ourselves. And that conversation should look like, why am I allowing this? Why am I'm allowing this treatment? Why am I allowing this person to, not see me? What is it that's in me that I feel that I need validation from this person, that I need this person to make me feel a certain way, that I need this person to, make me feel as though I'm important to them? Why do I need that? Because hindsight is saying you're not getting that, right? So if you're not getting that, but you're still in that, then how is that making sense? Because it can come down to, and I know for me, from my experience, it came down to a financial issue. And a lot of times women are in situations and relationships where they want to get out, but because that other party or that other partner is financial abusive, meaning they're making sure that you don't have enough money to leave. They're making sure that, hey, you stay home with the kids, I'll pay the bills, whatever, I give you money here and there. Or if you're working a job, they're making sure that you don't have enough money to leave them, right? So you're in a state where you're always trying to figure out, or either you're settling back into that state of, well, at least I know this. At least I know what to expect. At least I can navigate around it and have times to myself. But is that living? Is that living? Because I don't want to exist in a relationship. I don't want, I know when we are in relationships or marriages, there are, everybody's going to go through a challenge. Everybody's going to go through, times where it can be hard, where it can be, very challenging. But those are the times that really show, the character of that person. It really shows that, are you just in it for, your own gratification, or are you really in it because this is somebody who you want to grow with? This is somebody who you see them, as somebody that's there with you through thick and thin. That this is not just some fly by night person. This is not just somebody who's just there, that's talking the talk, they're walking the walk, right? So when you are going through situations, especially in romantic relationships, where you feel as though you're not getting what you want out of it, the first thing you need to ask yourself, either why are you allowing it? What is it within you that you see a void, that you don't see your own value, that you need that, what's the word I want to use? That you want that validation from that person. You want that person to basically like boost you up, like, right? But why are you not doing that for yourself? Now, I'm not saying that when we get into relationships, the first thing that there should be reciprocity. And maybe it's not a 50-50 thing. Maybe some can give 70, maybe some can give 30% of it, right? As far as whatever that give and take is. And only you can come to the conclusion if you're okay with that, right? Because we can say, oh, everybody, we should meet everybody 50-50, but maybe your capacity is not 50-50. Maybe only your capacity to show up in a relationship may be 40%. And maybe that is giving your best, but you're basically giving your best. And if that other partner is okay with that, then that relationship should thrive, even though you're not giving maybe as much as the other person, but there is still a give and take in that situation, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. Because sometimes we expect people to do half and half, and sometimes people just don't have the bandwidth for it. They don't have the mental capacity, the emotional capacity, the intellectual capacity to show up like that. And the person who is stronger in that type of sense is the person who comes and maybe, gives in that way, long as it's not depleting them. And I think that's the key word. If something in a relationship is depleting you, then you've overstepped your bandwidth of what you can give within that relationship. But if you can give based on what is within your comfort zone, meaning you're not, being selfish, but you're showing up the best way that you know how, then you're basically doing your part. But if somebody is challenging you, oh, well, you can do more, you can do this, and you're like, I'm trying, but when I done that, I was burnt out. When I done that, I was in resentment. When I done that, I was angry. So I know that that's not something that I can do anymore. So I'm saying all this to say that relationships really teach you about you. It teaches you, do you really love yourself enough to stay in relationships that don't serve you? Do you really love yourself enough to be in a place where you always holding the other person accountable, but you're not seeing your part in it? You're not seeing that, in order for me to coexist with somebody, to basically share space with somebody, I have to show up as my authentic self. I can't be this person in the beginning of the relationship and just show and project something who I'm not. Because at some point in that, in that relationship, the true person is going to show itself. So why not be upfront, so this way you can really understand who you are, what it is that you need. And even if that need is for you to maybe take time away and work on your own trauma, your own triggers, your own abandonment issues, your own mommy and daddy issues, or whatever those issues are, instead of getting into relationships and then making the other person pay for things that were done to you from other people. I think that's the most, worst thing that we can do, is hold somebody else accountable for what somebody else done to us, because they don't deserve that treatment. And this is when you really start doing that inner work. And a lot of times we think, oh, well, I don't want to be a bad person. I don't want to label myself as someone who has, would show up this way. But we only show up that way because we haven't learned really who we are. We haven't really learned how to articulate that, because we thinking, oh, they're going to think I'm this way, or they're going to think I'm this bad person, or I'm just doing things because, I just choose to. No, I've been hurt. I've been wounded. And what I would say to people who have been hurt and people who have been wounded and traumatized through relationships, don't just get back into a relationship just to soothe something that you've been through. You need time to heal from that. It is wrong for you to drag somebody else along on your journey to healing when you know that you're not ready for that relationship. So make sure that you are now, holding yourself accountable to say, I really like you. I really would, like to, be your friend. But as far as, me, committing to you in a romantic way, I can't do that right now, because there's some things I'm still working on myself. I'm still working some things out on myself, and I don't want to put that on you. Now, we got to understand, when people tell you the truth, believe them. And sometimes even when people show you who they are, believe them. We got to get out of, what I would say, this cold. I can see the thought, like, it's just like going away. Like, we got to stop falling in love with the potential of where we know that person can be. And we romanticize that. Oh, but I can just see this person, that they're going to be great. They're going to be this. And we fall in love with that version of that person, and they have not even reached that stage in their life yet. They're maybe not even self-aware that they can even become that. But because we can see that, because we're visionaries, right? And we can see that. And what ends up happening is they may never see that. What if they never see that, but you're still sticking and staying, hoping that this person is going to become that better version of themselves? And then once sometimes they do become that better version of themselves, what if now you are no longer the choice? See, we haven't figured it out that far, because sometimes we're trying to get people to become something where they're not they don't have the capacity to hold space for even themselves at that point. But then when they now grow to that place where they have that self-awareness, maybe now you two are no longer in alignment with them on that higher journey. So what you have to do is let people be who they are, and whatever is meant to come into your life will come into your life in the time that it's supposed to come into your life. So this way you don't have to hold people hostage to making you happy. You don't have to hold people hostage to, becoming something that they're not ready to become. You just let people live their lives, and you live your life too. And, there's a saying on one of my vision boards that if something is going to come in and something's going to stay, let it. But if it decides to leave, let it also leave, and don't be so attached to it. I think we're so attached to certain things that we don't know how to let go when it no longer serves us. And now we're heartbroken, and we're feeling like, oh, well, I gave all my time and my energy and my effort, and I gave all this money, and I gave all of these things to this relationship, and now this person is leaving, and somebody else is going to reap the benefit of what, I done, right? So I said, this is something that I said, why do a lot of women, and this is something that I've heard across social media, where they would say, I invested 5-10 years with this man, and then he gets to a place where he's thriving in life. He gets to a place now where he's done leveled up, and now he leaves me to go with another woman. And what the commitment that I wanted from him, he gave to her within 6 months or a year, and I'm sitting here 5-10 years invested, right? And I think what women don't realize is maybe because you did not set boundaries, maybe because you allowed him to continue to do certain things, you didn't value yourself enough. You continued to be, starved for love and attention, and you did whatever you needed to do to feel, wanted or accepted in that moment. But that maybe that other woman was like, no, like, I know who I am. I know my worth. I know my value. So I'm not going to allow you to, waste my time. So that sometimes can make a person realize that, wait a minute, you mean to tell me you're not going to, stroke my ego? You're not going to, make me feel like, you want me? It's like, hey, no, because you got to want you first. Like, want yourself first, because when you start wanting you and you start loving you, you make yourself more attractive to that other person. And sometimes that makes a person step up to the plate and really take a look at themselves to say, wait a minute, this is somebody who I want to be with, because that's the mentality that I want to rock with. That's the mentality that I want to, live by. Not somebody who's desperate for love, not somebody who's always allowing me to get over on them. And even though, you've done it, but you're saying, I don't want somebody wishy-washy. I want somebody that's going to stand up to me and challenge me. And I think when we look at it from that standpoint, we become more attractive. We become more in a place where we're not going to just lay down and just take anything and accept anything, because we understand who we are. And what that falls back to is loving ourselves first. So I hope you understand what I said and all of what I said today, as far as relationships are supposed to teach us really more about ourselves than the other person, because it's the journey that you're on. And when you start loving yourself correctly, when you start putting healthy boundaries in your life, you teach other people how to treat you. You teach other people what you're not going to allow. And if they are the person that's for you, either they will come up and meet you on that playing field, or else they'll fade to back, because you'll know that it is not aligned with where you're going. So my name is Michelle Williams. I hope that you will join me on January 29th as I present my first webinar called Loving Yourself First, where you'll be able to win a free Loving Yourself card deck, 42 card decks that's going to help you set boundaries, self-care, stop self-sabotaging, teaching you about karmic cycles and why we go through these things, and so much more. So the link is in my bio if you want to go ahead and sign up. So I would welcome for you to be there, so we can start 2025 off to a great start. So have a great day, and I'll be back again, and share this video and give me some comments below. Have a great day.